In this English lesson, we'll read a CNN news article together. And as we read the article, you'll learn advanced English vocabulary in context. You'll learn the correct grammar and the correct pronunciation at the same time. This is an advanced article discussing the idea of reading as a form of therapy. If you can understand this article, your English is excellent. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started.
Our headline: why people are turning to reading as a form of therapy. First, let's look at this. You probably know the verb turn, but this isn't the verb turn. It's the phrasal verb to turn to. Now, this phrasal verb is conjugated in the present continuous, of course, which is why you have your verb are conjugated with the plural subject, people, the plural of one person, two people, are turning to. Now, because to is a preposition, grammatically, the verb that follows is an ing. So to turn to something, someone, or doing something. So your verb in ing, or you can use a noun. And when you turn to something or someone, it means you rely on that something or someone. In this case, reading is what you rely on, and you rely on it for help in a difficult situation. So that's what this form of therapy, because we use therapy in difficult situations. So people are turning to, so they're starting to rely on, use reading as a source of help. Now remember, you can turn to someone because you can use a noun. So you can use a person. You can say, I always turn to Jennifer when I want to improve my English. So you can imagine the difficult situation is you're struggling with your English and you rely on Jennifer or JForrest English, this YouTube channel, when you want to improve your English. So is that true for you? If it is, put that's right, that's right. I would love to be the person that you turn to, or my channel be the thing you turn to, because you can use a something as well. So put that's right in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes, because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's continue and learn why this is happening. Like most parents, I'm exhausted from juggling the needs of my family and work in the 21st century. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at this verb, to juggle, but it's in the ing form because, again, from is a preposition, so you need that gerund form. So juggling is when you have three or more balls and you keep them in the air without dropping them. So you can imagine you have your family, your work, and potentially more things, and you need to manage and balance them all without any of these tasks falling on the ground, which means failing at any of these tasks. Remember, this is a verb, so you could say right now, a keyword for the present continuous. Right now, I'm juggling three projects at work. So it means you're managing these projects, but it implies it's difficult, it's challenging, it's a lot of work, and it's all happening at the same time. Now, as a verb, you could put this in the past simple and say, last year I juggled. And then you can list the specific things or different tasks, different responsibilities that you had to juggle. Now let's review this introduction. Like most parents, this is a useful introduction phrase because it's used to say, I am like this, and I assume that most parents are like this as well. So it's making a comparison. Let's review this example. Like most students, you don't have to say most. You could say like all students, like some students. So you can quantify it in different ways, but I'll just keep most. Like most students, I find public speaking challenging. So you're making a statement. I find public speaking challenging, but then you're also implying that this is a common feeling for students, like most students. That's why I turn to, remember to turn to, that's why I turn to JForrest English, because you can turn to something. So in this case, it's my YouTube channel as a something. Like most parents, I'm exhausted. So you have this to be here because it's to be exhausted. If this were the past simple, you would say I was exhausted. So don't forget when you need an auxiliary verb here. I'm exhausted from juggling the needs of my family and work in the 21st century. But after the kids fall asleep, I've been escaping to southern India in the early 20th century. First, let's review fall asleep. This is the act of actually closing your eyes and no longer being conscious. But this author could also say, but after the kids go to sleep, go to bed. This is where they just go into their rooms and they get in their bed, but their eyes might still be open. So this one just focuses more on they are no longer awake. And this one focuses on they are in their rooms in bed. So the meaning is almost the same, just slightly different focus. But notice that grammar, fall is your verb here, and it's asleep, one word. And this is go to sleep or go to bed. Your verb is go, and this is what you would conjugate. Now, I've been escaping. So this is in what verb tense? The present perfect continuous. I have been, I've been. Now, this is because it started in the past. Maybe she started reading this book that takes place in southern India in the 20th century. She started reading this book 3 weeks ago, 3 days ago, and she's still reading it now. So the present perfect continuous.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
I've been pulling this off by reading. Okay, we'll talk about what this means, but first, let's review what is the this. Remember, she's been escaping to southern India in the 20th century. So to pull something off means to accomplish something that is difficult or that had a high chance of failure. To understand this, you need some context. So I was juggling 3 projects. So an action that took place in the past continuous, maybe last week, last month. I was juggling 3 projects with extremely tight deadlines. But thankfully, I pulled it off. What is the it? The it is managing the situation. So the it would be I successfully completed the projects, even though there was a high chance of failure, even though it was very difficult. So it's not just that you successfully completed something, it has to be that there was a high chance of failure or difficulty involved. And again, I've been pulling this off, the present perfect continuous, because same with her, I've been escaping. It's an action that started in the past and continues until now. And you can pull something off by doing something. So by is our preposition, and that's why you have this in the ing, by reading. It's been just the opportunity. So this, it has been just the opportunity to relax that I've badly needed. Because she's been juggling a lot of difficult things during a particularly rough spell. So a rough spell is a difficult situation, but generally when you have one challenge and then another challenge and another challenge. So the continuation of that difficult situation, you can refer to that time period as a rough spell. And notice that pronunciation. This is how I would spell it phonetically, rough. So you have that F at the end, rough, rough, rough spell. Now she's going to define this challenging, difficult period of time in her life in which my kids and I were constantly sick this winter. So the challenging and difficult time had to do with health. And remember, I implied that it's not just you were sick once. Generally, it's either you're sick for a period of time or you're sick and then there's a work issue and then something breaks in your house. So it's this ongoing difficulty and challenging time in your life. So here it's this winter. So it sounds like a long period of time. We're constantly, and the word constantly, again, emphasizes that it was a continuation. And I were constantly sick this winter. Again, I turned to reading. So here, I relied on reading to help me during this difficult time as a form of therapy, as the title of this article implies. Now remember, you can use a something. So the verb is read in the ing form, but you could also say, I turn to books. This would be the something, and then reading is the action. I turn to reading, I turn to books to pass the forced time off. Okay. So time off meaning that she couldn't work because she was sick, but it wasn't a choice. So that's where this forced time off comes from, to say that it was not a voluntary choice. It was an obligation, external obligation. Now here you see pass the forced time off, but you may know that to pass the time is a very common expression, to pass the time. So you can say, I always bring a book with me when I travel to pass the time. So when you have wasted time, when you're standing in line, when your flight is delayed, you can read to make that time enjoyable, to pass the time, to make it go faster and to make it more enjoyable. Let's continue. So-called bibliotherapy. Notice how they said so-called. It's because this is not an official term. It's just a term that is newly coined. If you coin a term, it means you name it for the first time. You create it, essentially. So this isn't a widely or generally accepted term yet, probably because it's new. So that's why they say so-called. And bibliotherapy, therapy using books is what you can think of it as. So they're naming the form of therapy as bibliotherapy, but it's so-called. So-called bibliotherapy can be a powerful wellness practice. According to Emily Rumble, a licensed clinical social worker who has been prescribing it to her clients for 15 years. Okay, so notice here, again, we have the present perfect continuous because it started in the past and it continues until now. And because they're referring to Emily Rumble, she, I believe it says she, then it is has. She has, he has. Oh yeah, her clients. So we know it's a she who has been prescribing it. So what is the it? Bibliotherapy, reading as a form of therapy, books as a form of therapy, prescribing it to her clients for 15 years. Now, for is a common word choice with the present perfect continuous. For 15 years, what if I change this to since? What would it be? Well, with since, you need the starting point in time. So 15 years, we're 2025, 2015, so 2010. So since 2010 or for 15 years, they mean exactly the same thing. Reading offers a break from work and caring for other people. she said. And it can also be a way to gain personal insights. Now notice here, this sentence starts with a gerund verb because it's making a general statement. Remember that gerund statements are conjugated as it. So that's why this present simple verb has an S on it. This is a mistake I see a lot of students make. Let's review this. Reading books, magazines, and articles. Would you want offers with an S or offer? What do you think? Reading books, magazines, and articles. Offers a break from, because all of this is one subject. The subject is it or this. This offers. So you would have the S here. It's conjugated as the gerund statement. So that's why you have reading offers. Reading offers a break, so a temporary time off, a small period of time where you're not working, a break from work and caring for other people. All right, let's continue. Knowing who you are as a reader is important, whether you're a fan of historical fiction, science fiction, biographies, romance, or something else. So these are the different genres, the different types of different categories of books, genres. Now notice here, to be a fan of, and then you can choose one or more genres, one or more categories of books that you like. So if you're a fan of something, it means you like it, you support it. Let's review this. She is, so to be a fan of, she is a huge fan of. So notice I'm adding huge to intensify it. She is a huge fan of science fiction books. Don't forget this article here. You can say he is not really a fan of romance novels. So it means he likes them a small amount. I'm not really a fan of. Or you can say I'm not a fan of biographies. So this means I do not like biographies. I'm not a fan of biographies. So there, you can still use this expression even to say you dislike something. You would just make it negative. Let's continue. The method of reading is up to you. So to be up to someone means that whoever the someone is, in this case you, then lucky you, you get to make the decision. Now this can be a positive thing, or it can sometimes be a negative thing. We often use this if I don't really want to make the decision, so I just give you responsibility for it. So if we're deciding where to eat tonight, so where to have dinner tonight, but I don't want to make that decision. I don't want to spend time researching, make the reservation. So I can just say, it's up to you. So you decide, you make the decision, but then you also have to do the work. It's up to you. But in this way, it doesn't sound negative. It just means you get to choose what method of reading. So what style, what method of reading. Now remember, in this one, your subject is it because it's the situation. So someone could say, what do you want to do tonight? And if you say it's up to you, it's like saying, I don't want to decide, you decide. It's up to you. What we do tonight is your decision. So that is the it, what we do tonight, the situation. Now in a work context, maybe you could say it's up to someone. In this case, it's up to the marketing team to hire the designer. So it's the marketing team's responsibility or decision to make. And the responsibility or decision is hiring a designer. The method of reading is up to you. Some people actually prefer to listen to audiobooks. Now, the use of actually here is used to introduce a statement that isn't what you expect, because listening is not reading, it's listening. But if you listen to an audiobook, then it's the same result. It's just a different method. So they're using actually because it's more unexpected, because listening is not actually reading. Notice how I said it's not actually reading. So you're correcting or emphasizing information isn't what you expect. So let's review that again. Some people actually prefer to listen to audiobooks, while others read hard copies. So this is a physical book. You would call it a hard copy. That's a physical book. And then e-readers, that's digital, or use e-readers. What matters is that it's enjoyable for the person. Despite the benefits of books, so here you can use despite something. So despite the benefits of books, people have been reading less. So despite is used to introduce a contrasting statement because there are many benefits to books. People read less. They contrast, right? Because if there are many benefits, you would expect that people read more. So there's that contrast. So that's how you can use despite. And again, we have the present perfect continuous because the fact that people read less, well, it started in the past, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years ago, and it still continues now, which means every year people read less and less. So now they're going to give us more information about this. The average American read, notice the pronunciation here, read. I know instantly that this is the past simple because the average American represents one person. So it would be grammatically incorrect if this were read because they read, people read. So Americans, if this were us, Americans, then I wouldn't know. If it were just Americans, the plural, I would not know instantly if this were read or read. I would have to read more to understand if it's the present simple or the past simple, because of course, as you know, the spelling is the same, the pronunciation is different. But because this represents he or she, one person, I know it's the past simple read. And remember that pronunciation is exactly the same as the color, red. The average American read 12.6 books during the previous year. How does that compare to how many books you read during the previous year? In our case, that's 2024. The lowest number since 1990. So that tells you this have been reading less. So you could even say, despite the benefits of books, since 1990, people have been reading less. You could absolutely add that information here. Now remember, this relates to a starting point in time, and then 4 is a period of time. I can't do the mental math while I'm also talking and teaching you English. So someone can tell me how many years it is from 1990 to 2025. So 4x number of years. I guess that's actually kind of easy because we have 10 years to get to 2000 and then 25. So thankfully we're at an easy year to calculate this. So 435 years, you could say. So now you know that mental math is not my strong suit, but teaching English is. 435 years. But Rumble, remember this was the woman who prescribes bibliotherapy, reading as a form of therapy. But Rumble advised, notice this is the verb. It's not advice. Jennifer, can I have some advice? Can you give me some advice? That's the noun. Advised. So it's zd, advised. So this is a z, and then this is pronounced as just a soft D, advised. Repeat after me, advised. Advised. Remember, this is the verb conjugated in the past simple. I could say, but Rumble's advice is that it's best, and then the rest would be exactly the same. So this would be the noun form. And remember, the noun advice, never takes an S. It's a collective noun, advice. So it ends on that S sound, advice. But Rumble advised that it's best not to set goals for how many books you'll get through. To get through a book means that you finish it. But this is, to be honest, we generally use to get through something that is challenging or difficult. Like, oh, I finally got through my giant philosophy textbook. It was 800 pages and it was really difficult to understand for me as a native speaker. Okay, so we don't really use it in like, wow, this book was amazing. I got through it. So we don't really use it to mean complete if it's very positive. We usually use it to mean complete something challenging. Maybe in this context, the challenge is the fact that you want to read a high number of books, so you feel pressure to complete books. I'm not sure. You'll get through in a week or a year. Once we start focusing on how much we're reading, we take the joy away from the benefits of slowing down, she said. Because remember, they're using reading as a form of therapy. So if it's not enjoyable, if it becomes stressful because you're focused on how much you're reading, then it takes the joy away. So to take the joy away, of course, means it removes the joy from the process. Now, when you learn expressions, it's always important to know all the words. So take is your verb that you conjugate, the joy, away, and then from something, from the benefits of slowing down, she said. Reading can be a powerful way of escaping, relaxing, and realizing truths about ourselves and the world. That's why I'm heading back to India tonight. Oh, I really like this ending because remember, she said she's traveling to southern India or northern India to escape, or she's been escaping to India, right? So she's heading back. To head back means to go back, and then you go back to a location. So it means she's continuing her book that takes place in India. The verb head is very commonly used by natives. You should definitely know these three expressions. What time do you want to head out? Okay, so in this case, head out means leave. And wherever you currently are, it could be you are at home and you're talking to your husband, wife, mother, whoever, and you say to them, what time do you want to head out? It means what time do you want to leave the house? But if you are at work and you're talking to your coworker and you say, what time do you want to head out? It means what time do you want to leave work? So it is whatever location you currently are at. Now, you can also say, what time are you heading to the store? So here, heading to the store just means going to the store. Now here, in this case, it used head back because she was already in India. So really, this would be to go back to in the sense of return because she was already there. But if you just say head to the store, it's because you were not already there. So it's not return, it's go for the first time. But if you say, I should head back, maybe you are in a park talking to some friends, but then you look at the time and your lunch break is ending. So you say to your friends, I should head back. It means I should return to wherever I was, work, school, home, wherever. I should head back. So you can say I should head back to work, to school, or you can just say, I should head back if the context is obvious. And this means go back, return. So definitely start with these three important expressions. Natives love using the verb head, and you should know these three. And that's the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Why people are turning to reading as a form of therapy. Like most parents, I'm exhausted from juggling the needs of my family and work in the 21st century. But after the kids fall asleep, I've been escaping to southern India in the early 20th century. It's warm there, I'm surrounded by water, and the air smells like jasmine. I've been pulling this off by reading. It's been just the opportunity to relax that I've badly needed. During a particularly rough spell in which my kids and I were constantly sick this winter, again I turned to reading to pass the forced time off. So-called bibliotherapy can be a powerful wellness practice, according to Emily Rumble, a licensed clinical social worker who has been prescribing it to her clients for 15 years. Reading offers a break from work and caring for other people, she said, and it can also be a way to gain personal insights. Knowing who you are as a reader is important, whether you're a fan of historical fiction, science fiction, biographies, romance, or something else. The method of reading is up to you. Some people actually prefer to listen to audiobooks, while others read hard copies or use e-readers. What matters is that it's enjoyable for the person. Despite the benefits of books, people have been reading less. The average American read 12.6 books during the previous year, the lowest number since 1990. But Rumble advised that it's best not to set goals for how many books you'll get through in a week or a year. Once we start focusing on how much we're reading, we take the joy away from the benefits of slowing down, she said. Reading can be a powerful way of escaping, relaxing, and realizing truths about ourselves and the world. That's why I'm heading back to India tonight.
Do you want me to make another lesson where we review the news together? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.